So about probably 6 months ago, and we probably should have started filming this 6 months ago, I had the opportunity to buy a car that has been around my family since this is going back to my high school years. So over 16, 17, 18, wow, probably 20 years in my family, around my family, and probably even before that. So this is in period, so 95, 96, my dad had a client that was leasing exotic cars, so Diablos, etc., and he had a leasing company. And he leased out a 1995 Diablo VT to a South Florida client, and my dad was responsible for servicing the car. So at one point, the client and the leasing company actually sort of abandoned the car with my father. And for years, the car sat around his shop. At one point, it even sat at the garage at our house. And I have photos as a kid around this car. Like, it's sort of funny to see now, looking back. And even at one point, my father ended up buying the car, and he sold it to another really good client of his on the west coast of Florida. And as soon as the client took delivery of the car, he didn't blow the motor, but he overheated the car. So the car came back to my dad's place, and it sat for another 10 years, 15 years. So this car had sort of a weird history. It was a good car. It had never been in an accident, but it was just always, it was like the owners didn't really care about it. So imagine I'd watch it at certain periods, just, dust would build up, and then my dad would detail it again, and dust would build up. So I ended up buying the car, and at the time, I knew it needed paint work. It needed interior work. The door glass had a crack in it. The engine needed to come out. It probably would need, let's say, every hose, every rubber. I mean, we're talking a complete restoration on this car. There were a few parts that were good, but really everything needed to be gone through. So as I started to restore this car, I said, well, it's just, it's not like a Diablo SE30 or an SV or some special Diablo. It's a Diablo VT, which essentially was a production car. And it's not like they're bringing some great premium today. So I'm slowly restoring this car. And as I'm putting money into it, I realized, at the end of this, I'm going to have maybe $80,000 into this car. Maybe I should do something unique with it or different, because, again, it's just a Diablo VT. Now, we all know everything with Curate is about originality and, original bolts, wheels, tires. But as I was talking to the Lamborghini factory ordering parts, I realized that there were some pretty cool parts they had. One of my dream cars as a kid was the Diablo SVR. And the Diablo SVR essentially was a stripped down Diablo SV made for a mono-brand trophy racing series. So 28 Diablo SVRs were made. The guys would go out, professional drivers, amateur drivers, and they would race the shit out of these Diablo SVRs. I mean, they'd be crashing each other and driving the piss out of these cars, and it was a really cool series. So the cars had big, cool carbon fiber wings, big magnesium wheels, big brakes, gutted interiors with Alcantara, roll cages. They had slider race windows. I mean, they were pretty badass. And Diablo SVRs today, they sell probably around $300,000 to $350,000. And I realized that the factory had a lot of interesting parts left over from this series. So as I'd be talking to them, they'd say, I'd ask for a certain Diablo part, and they'd say, oh, what do you need? I say, oh, no. Oh, but John, we have this original SVR wing, or we have the original hood scoops. And at the time, I really was not intent on, modifying this car, but I realized, damn, how cool would it be to take this Diablo VT and basically turn it into a hot rod? An SVR is a race car, so you couldn't drive it on the street, but what if I took the best of all worlds and basically made a race car for the street with AC, probably not put race buckets, put the original seats, but basically make it an SVR. So I went crazy. I started buying light flywheel. I started buying racing headers. I started buying the original carbon fiber wing, the hood scoops. And I was going to go as far as they actually had a single lock single lug wheel that was in magnesium, I actually decided to buy original SV Diablo wheels because they were a little bit more streetable. They weren't magnesium. So I basically have gone all out with this car. I gutted the interior. The interior's full Alcantara now, like an original Diablo SVR. Took out all the window motors, the front wheel drive. The window motors and regulators will be removed, and we'll actually have Lexan windows in the car. So really stripping this car to make it a hot rod. It's gonna be loud, it's gonna be absurd, but it'll be a cool sort of journey and a fun project for us. Our incredible restoration team has never really had the ability to create something like this and be creative. I'm always by the book, this is the way it should be. So it's gonna be pretty badass, straight exhaust. I'm excited to share the car with you guys, share its history, and hopefully, I would say in the next 30 to 60 days, we'll be finished with it and we'll be driving it on the street.